And it's going to be, for complexity, just, I think going back to the drawing board, I like the thing that Don't Match Me said about picking Darius against Kha'Zix.
Yeah.
When complexity seems the best off, it's actually when they're having fun. And it doesn't look like they're having fun in these games. They're saying, we need to pick the strong champions. Play Zac, play
Twisted
Fate, play Diana. No, I want to see them play Annie and Victor and the champions that are strong but people don't play that frequently, and Darius again, because I feel like if Complexity's not doing those things, they're not going to be beating Quantic.
Well, at least right now, they're at least changing up their ban order. I agree with you on the pick front. Zed, Kha'Zix, also Shen dropped away, and now it's Complexity's turn for a first pick, and it's Nick Wu's Jace.
That's good for them. That's something that they are really happy playing, and that's a fun champion for Nick Wu to be on. Obviously, it's hard to have fun when you're like, one more loss and we're out of the LCS, guys. Yeah. Let's have a ball. But they have to. They have to enjoy this game, and that Jace pick goes a long way in doing that.
Okay, so Twisted Fate has been left open. You mentioned that it wasn't a huge thing for High, but at the same time, they are going to go for it.
Yeah, that's the danger of not picking the strong champions, is you just give them back to Quantic. And High's Twisted Fate is actually really strong. It's almost a more straightforward way of doing what he's been doing on Kha'Zix and Zed already, where it's like, I'm going to split push and then flank on in for the team fights. It's just... instead of a Kha'Zix sleep that's like 1,000 range, it's half the map. He's got someone right next to him.
All right, so Quantic, I mean, they're definitely going to picks that have looked good for them so far. Meteos is back here on Zac as well, and now it's Complexity's turn to say, all right, let's add some smiles, let's turn these frowns upside down, let's grab his zigs, let's go be a little bit manic, let's turn out a win.
He's got to pick something crazy against Twisted Fate. At least Twisted Fate is a little bit vulnerable in the lane.
Yeah.
So probably would be able to go with something crazy here, and Diana, but at least the Soraka is something new.
So they actually are grabbing out a new support, you know, and again, that's what Don't Mash Me said, is let's give us something a little bit new. So yeah, Diana Soraka picked up, and it's going to be Quantic's turn. And
that Soraka is something that MIA played a lot during the very start of the season. In their very first game against Curse, they did like Soraka and the Vi jungle, and they did that over the back like solo/duo dragon play at 4 minutes into the game. He's played it twice this year, as far as I remember, and it does look like a little bit of a return to comfort for Complexity.
Meanwhile, though, Quantic happy to keep that same lineup. They've got Sona for, I believe, the 3rd time here for elimination, and Stiga Castro is back on Ezreal.
It's what works for Quantic. I don't think we're going to see any reaction out of Quantic based on what Complexity's picking, but very much for Complexity, they are back to what they're doing. Chuper Graves, when he was an AD carry, he was a Graves player in a lot of these games, so I like that Complexity is taking the motto of saying it's our last game. If we lose, we may as well go out playing what we're good at.
Yeah, well, so Chuper has played 3 different champions in all these 3 games so far. Nick Wu with 3 different champions every game as well. And we'll see if Loud Immortus can keep that train alive with a different jungle pick if he wants it, or he might just go back to that Jarvan for the first time.
Yeah. Loud Immortus has always been known for like his tank CC junglers. His Cho'Gath has actually been devastating. But he's going right for the Jarvan. It is a tank CC jungle, like you said.
Well, 2 seconds to change his mind. Will it happen? Looks like no.
Nope.
Looks like they got their eyes on Jarvan. That is what they're going to grab up here. So the last pick here for Quantic, an insta-locking Rumble.
Quantic wants into the LCS as fast as possible. Yeah. They're like, we want this game to happen right now, and we want to win in 20 minutes. And Quantic is just, they're so hyped. You can tell by how quickly they're picking these things. They didn't even care what Complexity was going to lock in. It's like, come on, guys. Get it out of your way.
It's Rumble.
I'm Lemonation. I have all my 80 carries become #1 players. Let's just do this as they pick in Rumble for ball.
Okay, so Quantic does have their full lineup here. High is going to be running around on Twisted Fate. Gonna get a bunch of people. What's this Quantic lineup look like?
This Quantic lineup is what we've seen in almost all the 3 games, even if it's a little bit different. Huge initiation potential, very long range. A lot of map pressure will be able to be applied. They don't even necessarily have a tank line. They just have the 1 tank in Meteos. But if they get ahead, it'll be totally fine for them.
Meanwhile, in Complexity, you've got actually a fair bit of burst and even some sustain from the Soraka and stuff.
And Complexity might have a bit of an issue having enough damage to get through Quantic, but they definitely have a little bit more tankiness here. And it's really just, Complexity's not necessarily worrying about the big game. They're worried about winning the start of it, because if that doesn't happen, then they're just completely out of it.
We've got ourselves into the game. Quantic in the red trunks, Complexity in blue, leaving out their base, and they're all safety numbers right now for Quantic.
And I wonder if they're gonna be super defensive early on in this game, just because Complexity should be a little panicky right now in the way they play. They should definitely be taking more risks than usual based on what's happened in the previous 2 games. And Quantic's actually trying to get in position to avoid that, as that was actually a pretty deep ward that Elimination went into place.
So let's see what they end up doing with this one. Actually, they will just spot them, actually. They know they're around. This could be a pretty good fight for compLexity if anyone from Quantic face checks. Looks like they'll just say, no, we're going to put a ward down, then we're good.
And nothing crazy coming out. You're right about that. compLexity sticking around their own jungle. Heels still on their heels. I mean,
definitely.
They got to do something aggressive if they want to come back in this one against Quantic.
They are still around in the mid lane. They're definitely grouped up, though. It tells me they're looking for something, at least in the near future. Moving forward towards the middle of the map, they're pinging out actual common ward location for these teams. And right now, compLexity is in the fog of war. This could just be a delayed invade, but the ward is just to their left.
Yeah, so no matter how compLexity runs at this one, it would give Quantic time to walk away. But now the Quantic is going to walk through a ward here, knowing that it's only 3 people. If they would have stayed, it would have been bad.
Yeah, they just put the ward down and leave, so compLexity won't find the opening they're looking for unless they go for the latest invade I've ever seen. It's still 1 minute 54 in. They know, no. Sona does not go in. They do not find something here from Quantic. They're just going to get themselves back to their lanes.
So compLexity was trying a little bit of a sneak strat there. They were hoping that someone walked into the lane through that brush, because they were actually probably predicting that their blue might get stolen and then they'd catch someone running back towards mid lane after pulling, but it wasn't to be. And compLexity starts this game off just going for blue regularly.
Quantic nice in reserve there. They've lane swapped. Actually, both teams have lane swapped their duo lanes to this top lane here. So Chuper and MIA going to be heads up against Sneaky Castro and Elimination up top.
And this is the forced 2v2 by compLexity. They're the ones going into the 2v2 without access to any double golem funniness. But because Quantic started without doing double golems as well, it is one of the rare times where we get a straight up 2v2, both teams starting without a big advantage.
Elimination putting out a lot of harass early on Sona. The MIA, of course, does have sustain. We look now to the junglers who've been grabbing their double buffs very successfully. And, of course, Nick Wu and Balls, they are going to be fighting heads up in the top lane, or sorry, in the bottom lane. They were 1v1 back in game 1, and that went in Balls' favor.
And he's shoved the lane right away. And this puts him at a little risk for a lot of Mortis gank, but he's already put a preemptive ward up there. He did that because he started with a cloth armor, only a couple health potions, and a ward as far as I can tell, unless that was a support ward. No, never mind. I remember. Elimination put that ward in the tri-brush way back at the 50-second mark, so it's going to actually wear out pretty fast.
And just how well timed is that, though? With the last few seconds of life, it does spot Loud Mortis. And so pings come out. Actually, Loud pings where he thinks the ward would have been. And there's not too much there. So here we go. Loud Mortis is in the river. Might try to look for Balls here. And Balls is safe enough that he's not going to get found.
Just goes to show you how prepared Quantic was for this matchup. They're thinking 2 steps ahead in a lot of these scenarios. Balls knew in the Jace matchup that he would want to shove up, so they put the ward there 3 minutes ago because they knew that near the end of the ward, Loud Mortis might be coming by.
Wow, and so you can see actually this top lane also not the easiest for compLexity. Already 12 to 19 in minions. Yeah, Quantic are pushing, but they're actually lowering the health bar of Chuper very successfully as well. They've even got a level advantage here.
The early sustain from Soraka actually isn't that potent. The heal's on a very long cooldown. It's actually 18.8 seconds with all the cooldown reduction he has right now. So when they do poke down Chuper, they keep him low for a fair bit.
It's going to be nice for them. So Loud Mortis, though, he's put a pink ward down in the lane up there. Sees that Elimination is looking for him. Green ward comes down, which means he'll spot Loud Mortis coming across the wall, but at least they can clear the ward out. Yeah,
that was still pretty smart ward by Elimination there, because the pink did come in to spot Loud Mortis coming over the wall like he just did, and Elimination was making sure that that didn't happen. It cost him a ward, but at least it wasted the time of compLexity, and it made the gank not work.
But at the same time, Meteos is looking up there as well, trying to sneak on in, but the knockup's going to go in Elimination. It will be a 3v3. They jump in. Chuper forced a flash away. Meteos still chasing him down. Cleanse has been used. Sneaky Castro is exhausted. Could it be enough damage? Meteos still chasing down. Both AD carries taking a bunch of punishment. Castro has flash, uses it. Meteos picks up the first blood on the Chuper, and Loud Mortis will fire back. MIA heals himself, is still alive against Elimination. This could be good for compLexity. Will they pick up the kill? Yes, they do. Double kill for Loud Mortis. And last time he got a double kill, they beat Dignitas.
That is exactly what compLexity needed in this situation. Like you said, when they're down and out, when they didn't have a win all season, the early double kill from Loud Mortis in that MOG game against Dignitas is what really turned it around for them. Perfect for them so early.
Okay, so Nick Wu, though, up against Balls 25 to 23. This lane actually, oh, Balls takes him down under the turret. Beautiful job there by the Rumble. gonna say it was looking good, and then I stopped saying it.
And you saw Nick Wu right after that kill. He's hands off the keyboard. He is so frustrated with himself right now. He has to regroup. Don't go on tilt, Nick Wu, even if you died to the Rumble early on. But after the brilliant start for compLexity, losing that 1v1 heads-up lane is a disaster.
Let's see if they can recover from this one right now, because it is 2-2. The game is close. compLexity, I just worry for your mental health right now. As Mashpee said, you keep yourself positive, you keep yourself thinking about the game at hand and turning it around. Lemonation running very far down there of a ward, making sure he dodges the pink one and puts himself back into the lane.
He was really just making sure that he got really deep ward distance so that the pink ward wouldn't be able to clear it out. That still doesn't give them protection from the brush where the pink ward is, which is actually why Lemonation is staying so close to that brush, because he wants to be able to permanently check it if Mortis jumps over, so he wouldn't get knocked up until the next round of ganks came through, like he did in the last time where they ended up getting double kills.
So this could be interesting then if these guys can make it work. Quantic falls up against compLexity's Nick Wu. The kill lead for sure, but Meteos is actually looking to make this one 2-0 so far. Lurking around, Nick Wu putting down some poke the shield there from Balls. So far, Zach has not moved forward. Mortis is going to be waiting in the wings as well. This could be another very close fight.
So the junglers seem to be much more in each other's heads this game than they were the last game. Mortis and Meteos really in the same places all the time. Gotta really worry about High's Twisted Fate ultimate though, as he's 6 and not getting super heavily pressured in the mid lane.
The junglers see each other right now, so everyone knows the junglers in the bottom lane. The thing to be worried about is that High's Twisted Fate is level 6. That could be a very scary thing for compLexity.
And that is exactly what compLexity needs to worry about. That's one of the reasons that Prawley is trying to push up so hard in that lane as High goes to get the blue buff.
High with blue is going to be doing a bit more wave clearing than he was before. Nice amount of mana and cooldown reduction. Actually, double Doran's Ring is the opening here for Twisted Fate.
And that's not the most common opening for Twisted Fate, but against Diana, he wants to make sure he doesn't get bursted down just after Prawley lands 1 Q and then goes in with a double R on Diana. So just a little bit of added resiliency, and because they've been winning so hard in the other games, they're quite okay with not getting the late game build started early for High.
So we are watching something interesting though, as Meteos is already prepared to steal away the red buff. Mortis is going to be aware of this one though. He's going to walk into Meteos' face. The smite actually is used, and Mortis takes it away. Takes his own blue buff, or red buff I should say. Meteos, nice attempt on the steal. Gets hit with a shock blast for his troubles and just walks on out.
Real good timing for Mortis. He's getting a hang of what Meteos and Quantic are trying to do to them. So they're coming back after being a step behind and countering them when they're trying to go for stuff.
So this definitely looks like a much better compLexity in this game. Meteos just kind of recovering in his own jungle at this point. And I gotta wonder, when is Twisted Fate gonna go make a move? Can you force it, or do you actually have to get a good setup from your lanes?
I've seen it in so many different ways. Sometimes you'll see the best Twisted Fates be level 12 before they even throw off a gank. It's all about just finding the opportunity. And since Prawley is applying pretty decent pressure to High, he's okay just farming. Also, Quantic has pretty good confidence in their lanes, and I think they have confidence in their late game as well, so they're making sure not to force anything too hard right now.
So they are just going to sit there in the lanes right now. Most of the aggression has actually come from the junglers, and speaking of which, Mortis is looking to lurk down to the bottom lane.
Yeah, he's been spending a lot of time this game looking down here as Nick Wu goes in and Balls will have to pop his ult. There's TF.
There we go. The Equalizer comes across. This could be a pretty rough fight on both sides. Oh my gosh, Cataclysm comes across. High forced to flash away. They trade 1 for 1. The jungler, Mortis, 3 kills in the team.
And he's going to have to make really good use of that gold. I'm not sure exactly how. A lot of times Jarvans go full tank, in which case compLexity might not have the damage follow-up since Nick Wu's been dying a lot down to that bottom lane and maybe getting a little shut down. But there was a Twisted Fate ultimate coming in at an opportune time during a gank from compLexity.
So good stuff there by High. Of course, probably just shoved the lane up the mid and built himself a bit of a minion kill lead, but now he's heading to the top side without any ward coverage.
And it's because High left the lane that now Prawley gets to make a counterplay. And Sneaky Caster and Lemonation are very low on mana, but full on health. This is a dangerous dive for Quantic to do because Soraka doesn't really add any damage to a gank. It really just allows the gank to go on for longer. So we'll see if they decide to go in aggressively as Prawley's making his move.
They're making the move in. There's a silence on Elimination. They're going to jump in. Oh my gosh, so much burst comes across. There is a crescendo. They flash forward. Elimination will fall over. Prawley is ignited and losing health. health. MIA in a rough spot as well.
Oh, man.
Sneaky Castro, could he pick up a little bit more damage? Probably trying to body block with the shield, but here goes Meteos and Balls. This could be bad. Meteos already picks up one. He's going on Chuper. Chuper gonna fall down as well. 3 kills picked up on the counter gang. 3 for 1 for Quantic.
Oh man, that was not what compLexity needed with that gank. They knew they had the low mana, but the gank, the tower dive took a long time, and it gave Quantic a long time to come up to stop it, as Loutamortis is in a bit of trouble if High can chase him down.
This is gonna be a little bit rough. He's taking damage from the dragon. Loutamortis does enough damage, but will he burn to death? Oh, not quite. He just gets out.
7 health. There's actually 8 seconds left on High's ultimate, so Loutamortis is making sure to get out of there as quickly as possible. Safe.
Safe.
No risk in that Dragon play whatsoever. compLexity gets away with it.
If he had gotten Blue Ezreal and finished it in time, now he finished the Lizard Elder, that would have been the kill.
It would have been Nick Wu sticking around a little too long, High on chase.
All right, this is going to be Nick Wu trying to run through his own ward, but Lemonation's coming from the other side. However, Sona does not have many CCs available, and Nick Wu, just afraid of her, doesn't even want to try that one, just flashes away over the Dragon Pit.
Yeah, that was the one route that Nick Wu could have taken to get out of that one, because Lemonation would have came through with
Diminuendo, I
what
guess?
would look like a slow card, but he didn't actually have it ranked up yet. But I still feel like he would have been able to chase him down on Sona. It's by far the closest game we've had so far in this series.
Oh, absolutely.
But Quantic still has an edge. So even though compLexity's been taking a lot of risks, they actually have to just keep taking more.
And they're gonna keep doing that. Loutamortis already looking for balls in the bottom lane. The Rumble Spidey sense though says I'm gonna go Ward Tri-Brush, and I'm gonna wait around in the Fog of War. I'm afraid of getting ganked a little bit. No, he's actually gonna go right back down.
He was getting a little too aggressive here.
And they're just gonna go for the knockup. Ball's not in a good place at all. Equalizer comes across, does not touch Nick Wu. This could be bad though. Loutamortis is not really in range for much, and Balls flashes over the wall, completely safe.
Wow, so if Loutamortis didn't necessarily want to burn his ultimate because it would get flashed out of, and then he flashed over the wall, getting out of range of Cataclysm, so it couldn't follow up. So that was actually like a bad play by Balls, followed by a good play to escape.
Well, nice job then by Balls then to get away from this one. Probably taking a bit of poke. Castro is going for that blue Ezreal. We've mentioned it before. The Spirit of the Elder Lizard, as well as the Tear of the Goddess.
And the Sheen as well on High as they're trying to poke down this turret. Really just applying the map pressure. Quantic's up 1 turret again. None of their turrets are actually in danger of falling, so they still have kind of that upper hand. There's not a huge amount of lane shove coming out of at least Soraka. That's one of the things you run when you run a support Soraka. She doesn't provide any pressure. She's just like a defensive entity for your team, and it makes it a little bit more difficult for compLexity to try to make aggressive plays.
They were looking for one right there, Loutamortis, but just could not get in range for Cataclysm. Couldn't force the issue over on this right-hand side, so nothing picked up there as probably just continues to farm out the Wraiths for himself. And by the way, blue buff just a minute ago, I believe, was stolen away by Meteos.
Would have been a very, Smite Steal over the wall, I believe, or was it just a straight up
down and Loutamortis let it go.
So good steal by them, just making sure Prawley doesn't have that. That should slow down Prawley's farm a little bit, since he's been spending a lot of mana clearing the Wraiths as well as going mid lane. And that could also take the pressure a little bit off of High if he wants to make some Twisted Fate roam choices.
That's going to be a fun one there for Quantic if he can make those moves. The blue buff getting started out here. High happy to take this one down. This Golem, Lemonation lending a bit of support. True to his role here, of course. And there we go. Blue buff on Twisted Fate. 90 minions. Sheen going towards that Lich Bane. He's a scary guy.
Very, very scary Twisted Fate. And Balls is still pulling people down into the bottom lane here. He's just farming up a storm. 3 kills to 1 despite repetitive ganks by Loutamortis.
I gotta hand it to Nick Wu, though. He's at least holding equal in minions, but look at the gold difference, right? 3,700 to 4,600. The kills clearly mean quite a heck of a lot.
It's all about the kills in this game, even though it's been about the minion kills in a lot of the other ones. And gotta keep in mind also Meteos' 102 minion kills to just the 50 as Nick Wu's getting aggressive.
Oh my gosh, the damage output there from Quantic. No chance for Nick Wu to get out of that one. Great pickup again by Quantic. How did he even have to ult for that one?
That was just straight up smart play, because you don't expect to get Twisted Fate ultimated in the ganked in the bottom lane without a Twisted Fate ultimate. So coming out of the brush completely surprised him there.
So now it's Loutamortis trying to hold on to his turret right here. Deals some damage to the minions, but seems to be in a rough spot. We just saw the cold cards wreck his teammate, so Loutamortis is very healthily afraid right now that the minions just keep falling over.
There is a lot of action going down in the mid if Meteos decides to go.
He doesn't quite get the knockup on an MIA though. He did decide to go, but not quite the stun he was looking for.
Baited me. He's like, I'm going, guys. No.
I'm going almost.
And I think it was just the just the E not landing and the fact that Quantic wasn't really going for the kill, but it did scare compLexity back a little bit as well. As you've seen, everyone's actually just backed off from that mid lane, deciding to shop, clear the jungle, and just kind of reset for maybe the next dragon fight, which is going to be in a minute 20.
Alrighty, so High right now will happily be taking away that bottom lane farm, as Balls did go back and buy. He's pretty happy. Probably fighting up against Meteos 1v1, and actually Probably's getting the losing end of that one. You talked about how if Meteos can get ahead as the only tank, he'll be fine, and he's actually 2-0 with 100 minion kills.
He's the top farm on his team right now, which is a whole bunch of farming. It's Quantic understanding the game so well, it seems. They're really on point as a team, even though this game is pretty close. It's one win and they're going to be into the LCS, and based on how they're playing right now, would be a legitimate threat to anyone in the LCS. Anyone in the LCS. They're playing absolutely amazing.
So let's actually try to point out some guys from compLexity then, because it's so far been, I would say, a team effort from Quantic. I think that makes the most sense, where they've all been doing well, they've all been winning lanes, but the one guy that stands out to me right now for compLexity is actually Chuper. He's at 133 minions. If you look at his gold, he's actually pretty close against the Ezreal, right? Sneaky Castro, who's been on the winning team right now. Like, Chuper's holding up pretty well for being basically a sub.
And one of the big things that helped him early on in this game was the gank from Ledamortis, which resulted in that early double kill. So it's one of the reasons he's been able to keep the farm advantage up on Sneaky Castro, as well as Graves. Just farms really well. Let's see his skill order, actually. He's going second maxes smokescreen instead of quick draw, which means if he uses a buckshot and a smokescreen on the backline of minions, he kills it immediately. And that's didn't even have to do it that time, but if he's in a solo lane, that's how he clears, and that's one of the reasons he's able to pick up so many minions.
So good job on him for the farming. Then, of course, Bloodthirster already done, probably making his way towards some items as well. Right now, just a Negatron Cloak and a needlessly large rod, but he's certainly prioritizing at least a little bit of durability on that guy.
Yeah, he's went for the Negatron Cloak because they're against a double AP composition, and he just doesn't want to get spiked out since a Diana is a very all-in character. But these team fights are probably going to be happening pretty soon. It's a good thing he's picked up that Negatron this early.
Well, and the Dragon is up, of course. Last one did go to compLexity, and now Quantic wants a piece. Meteos has started up. Probably is across the wall, and the whole team is actually nearby. Nice Shock Blast comes across. It's taking more and more damage. Red team does pick up Dragon. Good job by Meteos, and now Ledamortis is caught out. He ults on. Here comes the Crescendo and Equalizer. Probably's going to go in. Balls in the middle, taking a lot of damage. Nick Wu in the side as well. Probably getting chased around, so low on health. Can they trade back and forth? They do, but it's a lot of deaths right now. Nick Wu's fallen over as well. Chuper forced to run away. TF ult comes by. Chuper flashes. Gold card in. He flashes in for that one. Chuper's not in a good spot. MIA falls down as well, and there is everyone but Ledamortis. But Ledamortis says, hey guys, me too. I want to drop, and an ace there. Double kill for Meteos. Quantic, great fight.
5 for 0 ace plus the Dragon, and that was after 5 for 1, and that was after Lemon Nation didn't really land his crescendo on everyone. Just great cleanup by Quantic coming through the back of that fight. Might have had something to do with the Aegis of Legion on that super farmed out Meteos doing whatever he wanted in that fight. And just the team play from Quantic, they seem to do everything well.
Absolutely, and now 18 minutes in, they're going for a Baron on top of that one. So yeah, okay, Dragon and Ace, that's nice, but let's really cement the advantage this time around. Baron will be going down. Good sort of tank kiting there, you know, juggling the aggro, and Quantic does pick that up, and even Balls, who had died last fight, will be getting the Baron buff in that global gold.
Since the death timers are so low and the game is so early, Baron on 5. This is now Quantic's moment. They've already won the first 2. They just won what is a game-changing fight and picked up almost as many advantages as you could dream of off of an early to mid-game Dragon fight. Let's see how they prepare for this one and if they can get by their nerves and just close it out this time.
And it's a true test of will for compLexity on the other side. They're firing back, answering, I should say, to this mid lane right here, finding finally what could be their first turret kill of the game. Ledamortis under a bit of fire from High, but he will take that down. So one global at least has been picked up there. Top lane as well, compLexity did actually fire back pretty well here.
And compLexity needs to make sure they shop as soon as possible and get the gold for those turrets. That's 1,500 global gold that they really need if they want to make any kind of hold against Quantic, because if they get trapped in a siege before shopping, those 2 turrets don't actually matter for them.
Well, speaking of 2 turrets going down, Quantic's going to do the exact same. Balls took out the mid lane. The rest of his team took out, he took out the bottom lane. The rest of the team took out mid. So we're back to 3-2 in terms of turret score, 12-5 in terms of kills. And Quantic, I mean, you said it was their moment. They're looking great this game 3. Let's see what they can do next.
Gotta wonder how High is feeling right now, as well as Lemon Nation after being favored 4 months ago and now really looking like the favorites in this game. They've come so far as individuals building up this new Quantic team, and they're looking so great with this Baron buff. I think they're going to be sieging down these turrets with the Lizard Elder and just trying to get this jungle control as well.
Meteos does smite that one away, grabs the red buff, making sure no one does steal that one out. And they're grouped up, ready to make their moves. So we saw before, Hai was constantly split pushing with Zed and Kha'Zix. And would you look at him going down to the bottom lane on Twisted Fate? Hai split pushing down.
Yeah, Nick Wu actually saw him coming, and he's actually trying to go for a kill, but Hai had a gold card pretty much immediately to try to stun him out there. That was a good position for for Nick Wu to be in, but it just wasn't enough since Hai was ready for it.
compLexity attempted to defend that second middle turret, but really couldn't get much out of it. Only the moonfall from Prolly, then everyone walked back away. So now 4 turrets to 2, still looking great here. Quantic making the moves forward. Castro, of course, had ulted the top lane, kept that from pushing forward, and they're still looking to put the aggression in.
And you can tell they want to go fast since they use that Ezreal ult up top, so they're making sure the minions aren't taking any other objectives for them so they can control their own.
And there we go, another turret going down. That's number 5 here for Quantic. Absolute control for these guys. They lost a dragon, to be fair, so there's something that compLexity has picked up, but otherwise, you're just seeing them really just in commanding lead of this game, ready to go for an inhibitor turret.
Here we go, poking through, trying to get as much damage down. If they dive in right here, it could be the final dive, but they have so much to lose if they lose this dive. They have about a minute left on this Baron buff. There's actually outer turrets up in the other lane. They'd have to get some type of good catch or see a really good opportunity if they go in for this dive, because it might look a little risky.
Well, they are just trying to poke for now, though. Sneaky Castro on blue. Ezreal has plenty of mana to burn through right now. Is landing poke fairly successfully, honestly. The wild cards as well from a blue buff Hai. Smokescreen comes across, some damage. Probably looks for something, does not land the Q. Cheaper constantly wave clearing. This turret's not taking terribly much damage right now. Still at about 4/5.
No, Quantic is having trouble breaking through this one. They have just one more wave of Baron buff left, so if they're going to dive during the Baron buff, it would be within the next 30 seconds, but they might be content just taking this one because they've accumulated that 9,000 gold lead and they don't necessarily need to throw it away. We'll see if they have a killer instinct or if they're playing it more safe.
All right, now they're still trying to make their moves
there they
on
go.
forward. There's the initiation. The crescendo comes across a few. Chuper's going to get dropped very, very quickly, but does get out of range. They find one, though. One has fallen over. Balls now Julie up against Chuper. MEA, can he keep Chuper alive? It's fairly close, but no, that one's going to fall down. 2 kills so far picked up. Balls will finally drop 2 for 2 in this fight. It's still close. However, Quantic have picked up the turret. They're going to keep on moving forward. The inhibitor likely to fall over. compLexity are going to retreat.
Very aggressive move by Quantic, and Lemonation put himself way in there. In fact, Balls and Lemonation, the only two to die in that scenario, did it because they were fighting the whole team on their own, it seemed like. A lot of Quantic was actually focused to make sure they got the turret down, since the inhibitor was paramount in their objectives here, knowing that once they got that down, it would enable them to maybe get more Baron later in the game and create other objectives for themselves. So overall, a very smart move and a successful one.
Well, and they've got 20 seconds until Dragon as well, so if they want to get more neutral objectives, they can feel free. Prolly right now has to clear away this middle lane minion wave. He's had a bit of a better game this time around. He's 2-2-2. I think it's his best score so far in the series, so maybe he can make things happen.
Best score so far in this series isn't saying too much, since this has been a very one-sided first 2 games. This third game has definitely been a lot closer, but Quantic is opening up that really large, gaping lead once again, taking down these free dragons, people starting to build their items. Iceborne Gauntlet is a very huge completion for Sneaky Castro. Runic Bulwark as well is another huge thing they've had for a while on Meteos. It is looking extremely good for Quantic as their bid for the LCS gets closer and closer.
It is indeed. Now the Iceborne Gauntlet has been completed. Sneaky Castro keeping true. Even grabbed a blue elixir. He is really playing the part here. I gotta hand it to him. Louder Mortis sealing away his own blue buff. Looks like they will hand that off to Prolly. So some cooldown reduction on that Diana. What can compLexity grab in the next few minutes in preparation for this push?
It's a tough one. They don't have many options here because they have already warded up kind of the counter gank Baron approach. That might get swept out if Lemonation decides to get an Oracles, but because Quantic hasn't done that yet, it's really just a matter of compLexity trying to farm as much as possible and not get caught off guard by something sneaky from Quantic. I don't think there's anything they can necessarily pick up that would just turn the game.
That's fair, that's fair. So, just gonna get themselves as close as possible in this game then. Cheaper, wave clearing up in the top. You saw Prolly farming in the mid a little while ago. They're certainly doing okay in minions. They're just not very good in gold, unfortunately, as Quantic have picked up so many things throughout this game. Balls, in fact, has a Riley's Crystal Scepter on top of everything else, so he's still scaling extremely well. High is going to grab himself another golem buff here, so it seems like they're grabbing the jungle, and then they'll start making the moves.
They're just doing the rounds of all the jungle buffs right now. They're making sure they have as much power as possible for the next fight. They are still in command and control of this game. They realize Prawley is down in the bottom lane pushing, and they know the exact timer of Baron. So Mortis is really trying to get as much control of his own jungle as possible right now, but it is still really, really bad for them in the other stuff. The only thing they might have going for them is they do have a Muramana transform that happened on Nick Wu, so Nick Wu might be able to get some kills if something disastrous happens for Quantic, but it's looking pretty bad.
Okay, so Baron is up. High's in the mid lane. The rest of Quantic are up top. You see compLexity with a fairly similar formation.
Oh man.
They're going to move on forward. They do not quite get the knock up. The silence as well on the Meteos. And compLexity does back away successfully. However, Quantic, they look like they're going to keep poking for now.
And that's one of the benefits Quantic has when they pick Zac in all these games. They can initiate from anywhere, and if he doesn't want it, he just kind of backs away since they have such a lead, and he is such a huge tank for them right now. So when they're sieging outside this turret, he can actually just wait in that brush if he wanted to and actually initiate all the way to about the turret range if they wanted to go. But they're just kind of poking this down a little bit safe, and actually I think Quantic is hoping compLexity gets impatient and dives in on them right here.
Well, they might just be. You can see the poke coming through very successfully so far. They're trying to drop the health bars down. There's the wild cards hitting on a lot of Mortis. Lout puts a ward over the wall, and just Elimination finds it and gets rid of that. So they're still blinding compLexity. The ult comes off from Ezreal. They're still landing poke damage. The minions at the very bottom of the map as well are pushing down towards the Nexus turrets. This could be compLexity having to give up part of their Nexus to defend this outer turret, and maybe they won't go for that. They're going to go in on a sneaky Castro, but there comes Meteos at a beautiful crescendo. They find Prawley. There's one kill so far. They're going to keep mopping up right now. Balls dives forward. He looks for the four remaining members of compLexity. The ult comes out from High. Gets a stun on a Trooper. Trooper's going to fall over. They're going to keep moving forward. Nick Wu falls down. MIA falls down. This is most certainly going to be the game. This could be Quantic 3-0 going into the LCS Summer Split.
4-for-0 fight. They just played that fight perfectly, and they're screaming for this Nexus.
That is it. The turret goes down. No one is left to kill them as they take the Nexus down. Quantic Gaming in beautiful fashion. None of their games longer than 28 minutes. 5-0 in the tournament. They are in the LCS.
A spot well deserved for Quantic. All these guys have been top players for so long, and now they get to play in the top league of North America at the LCS. That's got to feel good.
Absolutely a well-deserved win. You can see them smiles on their faces, the hugs. Oh man, they are just ecstatic. You can see them just, the initial sort of rush of emotion falls off, then the sighs of relief, the thumbs up, the smiles, then the handshakes for their opponents.
How could they not be? That was such an amazing performance. A 3-0 in a promotion series, really saying that they deserve this spot. The rest of the LCS has got to take notice of Quantic.
Yeah, I actually remember a lot of players saying that they would definitely be a top contender in the league itself if they made it. It seems that they're certainly a top contender compared to compLexity. I mean, 3-0 in very, very convincing fashion, and they're going to be, making definitely a lot of waves in the season itself. So. A great champion pool, even if it was similar picks right now, certainly a very convincing play style from these guys.